Gwyn, the Lord of Light, has been talked about a lot, which isn't surprising considering Dark Souls released 12 years ago. But one word seems to always be given to Gwyn, and by extension his kin. Villain. But what if I was to tell you this isn't exactly true? Yes, the actions he does commit are heinous. This does not make him the villain though. No, the true villain of Dark Souls is circumstances. Circumstances created the Age of Ancients, an age where Gwyn's species lived deep, deep underground in large caverns. Above them lied the immortal archdragons and their archtrees. The world was numb, unfeeling, until there was fire, and with fire came disparity. Heat and cold, life and death, and of course, light and dark. In this great fire came 4 Lord Souls. The first was claimed by Nito, first of the dead. The second to the Witch of Izalith and her daughters of Chaos. Seath the Scaleless, who betrayed his own. The furtive pygmy, so easily forgotten, the father of humanity. And the character of our story today, Gwyn, who found a Lord Soul becoming Gwyn, Lord of Light, elevating his bloodline to what is only mentioned to us as gods. Now imagine, your kind has lived for an untold amount of time, tortured by the dark, their world living in a stagnant state, undying. And although the world is stated as unfeeling, I have a sneaking suspicion this isn't exactly true. While I 100% believe those above were unfeeling, aka the archdragons, I think the creatures that clawed around in the dark, maybe they weren't so unfeeling. What if they did have emotions? And if they had emotions, that changes everything. Because for an untold amount of time, they suffered. And when you think on Gwyn's irrational fear of the dark, the fear of man, trauma is a really, really hard thing. And obviously, the creatures that clawed around in those caverns experienced it. I mean, hell, there's some great videos on YouTube about how the dark affects the mind. I would not be surprised if 95% or basically 100% of this populace was driven insane, and considering they are immortal, that just adds to it an eternity of suffering. So when you look on the treatment Gwyn gives to beings of the dark, I really don't think it's that surprising. He's giving a response based on what he knows of the dark, not to mention they are trying to take away the thing that saved his kind, the fire. Going back to the Rise of Flame, Gwyn, the Lord of Light, rallied his previously ailing kind, leading them to the surface to face the ancient dragons. In short, because it was a very long war, Seath the Scaleless helped reveal the weakness of the ancient dragons, which was none other than lightning, a gift specifically bestowed upon Gwyn and then to his followers. The gods, Gwyn and his lineage, were beings of enormous faith, and with this came incantations which were bestowed upon those with faith to imagine greatness. Gwyn, the Lord of Light, would go on to have 4 children, with a wife who I believe to be the mysterious Lady Velka we hear about time and time again. The firstborn's name has been lost to time. We simply know him as the Nameless King. Only at one point or another, the Nameless King was removed and erased from the annals of time for befriending a drake and betraying his father and family. Then there was Guinevere. The god of maternity was a figurehead per se for the gods. The common folk revered her and her them, at least for a time, until she became cold and callous, hopping from one household to another, mothering many a children, even as far in time as the end of the world with the Lothric bloodline. Then there was Gwyndolin. Gwyndolin became the founder of the Knights of the Dark Blade, a powerful covenant in charge of protecting the royal family and dispatching their enemies. A lot of people like to say that Gwyn's bad because he forced Gwyndolin to be raised as a girl. If this was the case, of course, seriously fucked up and not on Gwyn. But to my knowledge, nothing directly states he was forced to. What if Gwyn is just a good father supporting his child to be who they want to be? I'm not going to talk any more about Gwyndolin simply because I've never been through any gender crisis or any sort of things like that, so I'm not in a place to talk about it or, you know, say, oh, is this, and this, that. And as well, it's kind of worms I don't want to open. This channel's about From Software, and I really don't want to offend people. I love making videos, and my goal is just to make videos that other people enjoy, who like From Software, whoever they might be. Well, I take that back. If you're like 5 years old, maybe you shouldn't be watching Dark Souls, but give it a few years, you know, mate. The final child we know of is the Princess Filianore, the youngest child of Gwyn. Like Gwendolyn, a misconception tends to occur. To my knowledge, it only ever says she went to the Ring City and played her role there. It never says, Gwyn tricked and forced Filianore to go to the Ring City. And it's more likely that given we know that she was an adult, or at the very least an adolescent when she arrived, and given their godly minds, why would she not be included in the discussion and worries of the coming age of man? How do we know she did not volunteer to go forth and hold the Ring City in stasis? Now there is Yorska, but I don't really think she's blood related to Gwyn, at least not in the sense of a child. Most likely a great-granddaughter? Guinevere and Seath, that makes Priscilla, and Priscilla makes Yorska. At least that is my understanding of what occurred. You never know with these gods, they're all fucking weird. Now picture. By the time the true threat of man is revealed, he has lost everything. Guinevere has fucked off to wherever she goes. His wife Velka is mysteriously absent. His youngest, Filianore, lies at the end of the world, subduing the dark soul of man. He was forced to forsake and banish his firstborn, which by everything we know was the closest in personality to him. Gwyn may be a god, but even gods have their limit. So when the one thing he truly had left, his reign as the all-powerful being in the world. Is it any wonder he did everything, no matter how heinous, in the name of preserving this age? Yes, the Age of Dark is the best and most right option, but you have to realise that in the face of the right option, emotions will always win. Just like they did with Gwyn, branding man with the dark sign, subjecting the holders of the dark soul to millennia of mistreatment and torture, to the point where even they forgot the dark soul that once gave them their strength, instead hiding behind a face carved out for them, instead of the true one hidden behind a ring of fire. Gwyn is not the villain of Dark Souls. The true villain is circumstances. Circumstances compel people to act in certain ways, which lead to the dire situation we find in Lordran. Gwyn, yes, he is at fault for his actions, no one's excusing him, but there is a lot more to Gwyn than a simple word called villain. He is much, much more than that. That is the end of the video. I hope you all do have a great rest of your day. If you did enjoy the video, please consider leaving a like and subscribe, as it greatly helps the channel. Popping up on the screen now should be some of my previous videos. Anyways, goodbye everyone. May you find your worth in the waking world, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Goodbye everyone.